I don't know if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but coming out of the dark night of the soul doesn't happen in a dramatic way. There is no breakthrough where suddenly everything makes sense and you wake up feeling like a completely new person. It might happen that way for some, but it's usually quieter than that. It starts by you noticing small shifts, the tiny moments that would have meant nothing before, but now they are important because you can feel that they are different from the heaviness that you have been feeling for so long. And at first, you may not even trust them because you have been waiting for a grandiose breakthrough, but real shift happens in small pieces. And because it's hard to recognize, I thought that if I share the signs that I have experienced and I've heard others experience, then you may be able to recognize them in yourself. The very first sign is the noise in your head gets quieter. During the dark night of the soul, your mind is trying to fight everything that is happening. So every simple feeling becomes a problem. Every bad day feels like the end of your story. So you keep searching for a reason, a lesson, an answer, something that can explain what is happening. And I think we do that because we think if we find the reason, then we can make it a stop. When you are in the middle of all that, it feels endless. But eventually, something changes. You either look back and you realize that all that fighting hasn't got you anywhere, or you get so exhausted by fighting that you can't fight anymore and you finally let go. Then your mind stops analyzing and looking for a solution for your situation. It quiets down and you start kind of living in the now. You stop fighting all those heavy feelings and you start living with them. And you start experiencing moments where your body isn't bracing against life and is kind of starting to relax. That's the shift from thinking, why is this happening to me, to thinking, well, it happened. I'm here now. And that's while you realize that you haven't figured everything out yet, but you're okay with where you are right now. And because you stop resisting the reality of your life, you get to experience the peace that comes with accepting where you are. The second sign that shows you're coming out of the dark night of the soul is that you start to feel like yourself again. The main work of the dark night of the soul is to remove from you everything that isn't actually you. The old beliefs that are not serving you anymore. The old identities like being a people pleaser or overachiever and all that. The old goals that you were chasing because you thought you were supposed to. It burns away all of that to clears the way for you to find out who you really are. And when that happens, pretending becomes really hard, even impossible. And if you try to keep pretending, then it makes you feel exhausted. So when you're coming out of that, out of the dark night of the soul, you see that you are responding to life from a much more authentic place. And the old ways of being and living don't have that much power over you. And you will find this clarity about who you are and what you value and what kind of life you want to live. a clarity that wasn't there before. And you feel you are anchored in yourself. You feel like yourself again. And that groundedness brings with it a sense of compassion for yourself and for others. The third sign, are you ready? Is life feels interesting again. This is my favorite sign, and at the same time, it's the sign that most people miss it. Dark night of the soul is incredibly draining. It makes you exhausted emotionally and physically. So, a clear sign that shows you're coming out of it and it's over is a subtle and natural return of your energy and a kind of newfound interest in the world around you. It's like a gentle return of your vitality and your curiosity both. During the dark night of the soul, you are so consumed by your pain and you are trying so hard to fix yourself that you don't have the space to care for anything else. But when it is over or you are coming out of it, you feel like you are interested in things other than you and your pain. You might suddenly find joy in a small things, in a song, in a book, in a walk, in a hobby that you have let go before, in a conversation. Instead of thinking that life is pointless and nothing makes sense, you become curious about yourself and about the world around you. And you naturally start to look forward to the future instead of being afraid of it or feeling completely indifferent. So I mentioned all three, but having said all of that, I think the deep shift that happens after the dark night of the soul is in the relationship that you have with your own mind. During the dark night of the soul, you are completely drowned in your thoughts and your emotions. You're kind of trapped in them. But after you grow or you develop this ability to stand back and observe them. So if you happen to feel sadness one day, instead of spiraling into it and immediately thinking that there is something very wrong or your life is ruined, you just think, today sadness is passing through, or you think something similar to that. So coming out of the dark night of the soul feels like waking up after a long fever. When you wake up, you see the world is exactly the same, but the eyes that you look through are completely new. So I'm curious which one of these signs you have been able to recognize in yourself. Have you suddenly become interested in an old movie, or have you kind of started to feel that you're coming back to yourself? Sharing comments.